Thank you, Francesca. Good morning, everyone. What a bunch of brave souls. I tried to make it as bland as possible in the description on the program because emotional sobriety is not like swinging from the, treetops on a zip line, but it is a way of life that is very rewarding. My name is Bill. I'm an adult child. And I would like to say that those 33 years are combined 12-step programs. I didn't start in ACA in 1980, ACOA back in 1986 when I first attended my meeting and stayed consecutively all the way through that time. I went into another fellowship, and then I came back to ACA. So I've not been 33 years in ACA. I'll be honest about that. That's one of my things is I try to be honest every time I can. So this workshop is about emotional sobriety, and it's an interactive workshop. You see these flip charts right here, and this tape, and these markers? This means audience participation, because I believe in people getting up and getting involved, and we're kind of cramped in here, so those in the back that want to run up and do something on the chart, it may not be, advantageous, but we'll do what we can. What I thought we'd start with, advance, is some workshop safety boundaries. And this is because this is an ACA gathering, and we're going to be talking about adult-child issues, and it may bring up some feelings for some people. So if we can use the same guidelines we use in our meetings, I think that everybody can enjoy the workshop and feel safe. So number one, if anything brings up the feeling of sadness in you or grief, unexpressed grief or grief you need to express, please feel free to do that. We're safe here. This is ACA, and we're non-judgmental. It's okay to cry and express your feelings if you need to. And according to the crosstalk guidelines that we have, nobody's going to reach over and put their arm around you and disturb you while you're expressing your feelings, I hope. It's okay to get up and go outside if you need to. It won't be a distraction to me or hopefully none of the others. It's okay to ask questions. I love that one over the years. And I found out that he had a crappy childhood. His father abandoned him when he was very young, took off. His mother basically dumped him on his grandparents' doorstep and said, I have to go to work, I have to do this, I have to go. So Bill grew up from a young child without either parent actively involved in his life. I don't know about you all, but I can imagine how that would make me feel just because mine were emotionally absent and my father was sometimes physically absent. So I can imagine how it made him feel. So even though he had this great insight to develop to co-found Alcoholics Anonymous, he still had that never-ending pit inside of him of low self-esteem, not good enough, not lovable, all the things that we can identify with. So Bill, after the initial 1935 to roughly 1945, after the peak of AA getting started and all the activity, the hustle and the bustle and writing the big book. I mean, think about it. What's all that happening to him? He's distracted. He's focused on something else. He's a workaholic working on 12-step recovery, writing a book, starting meetings, speaking at meetings, sponsoring people. No time to look at moi. I can relate to that. So Bill started reaching out to people, and this is in some of the AA archives in New York. It was also in a book called Soul of Sponsorship that was researched, and actual letters were taken from the archives. So Bill started writing to people that were depressed in AA. And as he would write to them, and they would write back to him, they were sharing their feelings. They were sharing their past hurts, as Bill called them. And Bill went on to actually say, I think in the future, there's going to be another program that will address past hurts, depression, and that sort of thing. He called it, maybe there'll be a Neurotics Anonymous. I don't think that one would catch on too good, but hi, my name is Bill, I'm a Neurotic Anonymous. No, I'm Bill, I'm an adult child, sounds much better to me. So anyway, Bill knew this, he saw this, and he went through that 13-year period, and he was reaching out to other people, and he got better, and from 1945 to 1958, when the Depression was finally lifted, he coined this article in the Grapevine, and this is the picture that goes with it. And just look at those words above that head. Can anybody in here relate to those at all? The need for top approval, the need for having perfect security, perfect romance, the relationship, needing that to feel okay. He wrote in that article, I think many oldsters who have put our booze cure to severe but successful test still find they often lack emotional sobriety. Perhaps they will be the spearhead for the next major development in AA, the development of much more real maturity and balance, which is to say humility in our relations with ourselves and our fellows and with God. He also said those adolescent urges that so many of us have for top approval, perfect security, perfect romance, urges quite appropriate to age 17, proved to be an impossible way of life when we are at age 47, or even older than me, 57. How to translate a right mental conviction into a right emotional result, so into easy, happy, and good living. Well, that's not only the neurotics problem, it's the problem of life itself for all of us who have got to the point of real willingness to hew to right principles in all our affairs. So he's saying that not only troubled people, but everybody that's got to a point of being willing to adhere to right thinking and trying to turn a good thought process into the right action, it's a problem. He suddenly realized what the matter was. His basic flaw had always been dependence, almost absolute dependence on people or circumstances to supply me with prestige, security, and the like. Failing to get these things according to my perfectionist dreams and specifications, I had fought for them. And when defeat came, so did my depression. Can anyone relate to that at all? You don't have to raise your hand. So here Bill says in step 12, we begin to practice all 12 steps of the program in our daily lives so that we and those about us may find emotional sobriety. You notice the date that Bill wrote the 12 steps and 12 traditions, or when it was published? He was in the midst of that depression when he was writing it, of the 12 steps, not the big book, but the 12 steps. And his secretary is on record as saying he used to come into the office to write, and he would lay his head on his desk and just sob as he was writing. The man had so much internalized, unexpressed grief that it was coming out everywhere, pouring out of him. Anybody ever hear of Ernie Larson? I did a lot of Ernie work in Ernie groups between my first adventure into ACA and my second I filed charges. My grandmother said, I can't manage these boys. Their father deserted them. My dad's father deserted him before he got to know him. She says, I can't manage these boys. You take care of it. So the state put him in an institution, and he's still there today. And he's had electroshock therapy. He's had all kinds of drugs ingested into him, all because he jumped over a counter and grabbed his suit and maybe shoved the guy when he did it. So that's what my father grew up with, knowing his brother was locked up not having a father role model, not having a big brother anymore in the formative years. So he didn't know how to be a father because he didn't have a role model. I'm not making excuses for him. I've already dealt with the grief of that, the loss, and it was very painful. So my very earliest memory is, based on where we were living at the time, I was between 2 and 3.5 years old. I can't narrow it down any closer than that. And I'm sitting at a little dinette table, square dinette table, with my 2 parents and my sister, and we're having dinner. And I'm eating peas. It's so amazing that I can, and I didn't know this until I went through the grief work. I didn't know this. I didn't even remember this event. And I'm eating peas with a fork. And I'm spearing the peas. And I'm putting them, and I'm eating them. And I remember my father glaring over at me and saying, "If you don't stop doing that, I'm going to give you a whipping." And I looked at him, and I looked at the peas, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, but maybe I was clinking the plate too loud. He speaks to me. He said the essence of emotional sobriety is the space between the stimulus and the response, and try to live there. So when I get triggered, the stimulus, it's better not to go straight to the response right away, Try to live here. When the heat starts to build, it's better for me to not do anything and let the heat subside, and then the thinking can become a little more clear. All right, let's talk about what emotional sobriety is not. I'm just going to abbreviate it because I can't write emotional sobriety all day long, okay? So it's ES. What ES is not, with an exclamation point. So, audience, what are some examples of not emotional sobriety to you? Adelina. Inner conflict. In the back. Self-doubt. Self-condemnation. Oh, those long words. Self-hate. Can we go with hate? I'm just going to do that because I'm feeling a little bit frisky. Yes? Denial. Yes. Don't even know I am lying. Shame. Okay. Improperly expressed emotions. That's still a lot, isn't it? No? Hijacking the source. Critical parent. Critical parent. And I heard running on inner drugs. I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry. Stimulus deprivation, okay. I can't write that fast. We got 90 minutes. Now we probably have 70, I don't know. I would love a volunteer. Why don't I ask for help? Holy cow. What I've learned at this workshop already. Want it posted, and okay. Who's going to write? You're going to write and post? Okay. We could spread the wealth. You can ask for help. Okay. Where did we leave off? Stimulus deprivation. Who had? Yes.
It's about pride.
Pride. False pride.
Yeah. Pride and arrogance.
Pride and arrogance. Is there a book or a movie called that? Or no. Stimulus overload. Yes, I saw a hand. Yes.
What was that? Nuclear reactor.
What emotional sobriety is not? Oh, not being honest with what we're feeling. Intolerant. Oh my gosh. We better get two writers going here. Yes. Numbing and dissociating. Yes. Feeling not good enough? Yes. Isolation. Manipulation. Feelings or behaviors?
Behavior. Or both. You tell us.
Oh, we're going to get there.
Okay.
Yes. Fear. And one more in the back, and then I think we're out of page 2, right? Go ahead. Controlling. That one took a while to come out. That one's at the top of my list. Is it a good one that we haven't got? Rage. Ooh, we can work that one in there. Okay. So, great examples of what is not emotional sobriety. Thank you. Let's see if I had any of what you guys said. Being controlling. I told you it was the top of my list. Needing to be right. Ooh. Looking good for the wrong reasons. That pride thing, I believe. Being judging. Getting even. Reacting with anger. Having to know everything. Okay, so we've got some really good what ES is not. What happens whenever we grow up in a dysfunctional home? This list, these 2 pages over here is what happened to me. Just a little bit about me. I was raised in a non-drinking family. My father was a product of living on the streets a lot, and his brother was locked up for juvenile delinquency at a very early age for wanting to impress a girl at the prom. He went to the dry cleaners or to the cleaners to get his suit, and he got there 2 minutes late, and the guy says, I shouldn't let you in, but I will. So my uncle goes in. He is a young boy. He's going to a high school prom. He pulls out a bunch of change to pay for the cleaning of the suit, and the man says, "It's after 5 o'clock. I don't have time for this," and knocked the change off the counter and told him to leave. So my uncle jumped over the counter, got his suit, and left. In court a few weeks later, because the guy filed charges, my grandmother said, "I can't manage these boys. Their father deserted them." My dad's father deserted him before he got to know him. She says, I can't manage these boys. You take care of it. So the state put him in an institution, and he's still there today. And he's had electroshock therapy. He's had all kinds of drugs ingested into him, all because he jumped over a counter and grabbed his suit and maybe shoved the guy when he did it. So that's what my father grew up with, knowing his brother was locked up, not having a father role model, not having a big brother anymore in the formative years. So he didn't know how to be a father because he didn't have a role model. I'm not making excuses for him. I've already dealt with the grief of that, the loss, and it was very painful. So my very earliest memory is based on where we were living at the time. I was between 2 and 3.5 years old. I can't narrow it down any closer than that. And I'm sitting at a little dinette table, square dinette table with my 2 parents and my sister, and we're having dinner. And I'm eating peas. It's so amazing that I can, and I didn't know this until I went through the grief work. I didn't know this. I didn't even remember this event. And I'm eating peas with a fork. And I'm spearing the peas. and I'm putting them, and I'm eating them. And I remember my father glaring over at me and saying, if you don't stop doing that, I'm going to give you a whipping. And I looked at him, and I looked at the peas, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, but maybe I was clinking the plate too loud, because it had a little pocket back by the window, and my sister was sleeping in that little pocket, and I was sleeping on the back seat. And I was startled awake when we hit something, and I rolled out into the floorboard, and my sister flew over the top of the pocket and landed on top of me down in the floorboard. And as I'm getting her off of me and I'm looking up, I see the window, and I see my mother running beside the car through the window. And then I don't see her anymore. And I sit up in the seat, and I'm looking out, and there's this huge semi-tractor trailer truck in the window of the Volkswagen. And I can't see anything but a silhouette because there's car lights shining on us, so I'm looking into white lights, and I can't see anything in the car other than the back of my father's head, and I didn't see my mother anywhere. At that moment in time, I don't think I was 6, really, now that I think about it. I was probably 4 or 5. At that moment in time, someone reached into the car, back seat, and grabbed my sister and took her out. They reached in and grabbed me, and I didn't know who it was because I couldn't tell. And I reached over and I grabbed my father as I'm being taken out the passenger door, and I said, "Come on, Daddy." And he turned around and looked at me, and all I could see was disfigurement and blood where the corner of that semi had come through the window. And they took us out and put us in a strange vehicle. We didn't know what was happening. Nobody had said anything about my mother. And the next thing I know, we're in a hospital, and it's one of these old hospitals with fluorescent lights and gray floor tiles and gray walls. And no people. This was a rural area between Atlanta and Chattanooga. It was a very rural area back then. And we're sitting there, just sitting on 2 chairs, me and my sister, no social workers, and we're just sitting there waiting, swinging our feet, looking at each other, not knowing what's going on, where our parents are, if they're alive or dead. And maybe, I don't know, it seems like a couple of hours. I don't know how long it was. My mother comes out in a wheelchair, and she's got a bandage around her head, and her legs got a bandage, and her shoulders got a bandage. And she's crying, and she comes over, and she says, "Daddy's not doing so good, but we're going to hope he makes it through this operation." So my father took the brunt force of that semi when we hit it, because it had pulled out into the road and was only going about 15 miles an hour. And I guess it was foggy, and he didn't see it, and we hit it doing 55, and it just splattered his face. It broke his facial bones and everything. Long story short, that experience gave me the laundry list trait of being terrified of abandonment. I'm convinced of it. Because from that point on, I didn't feel safe if I didn't know where my parents were. They didn't even go out that much, but when they did hire a babysitter and go out, I acted out terribly. I cried like I was dying. I had anxiety. And I didn't even know what the word anxiety meant. So that's what happened to shape me. And other laundry list traits were added in. There's no question about that. When I first came into ACA, I had this little checklist right here that they displayed at the meeting of 25 questions, and they had the laundry list laying there too. So I picked up the laundry list and I said, well, I can relate to the first one, afraid of people and authority figures. I can relate to being a people pleaser, approval seeker, and not knowing who I was. I can relate to being frightened by angry people. I did become an alcoholic. I married compulsive personalities so that they could abandon me emotionally, because that's what I grew up with, was emotional abandonment. We get guilt feelings when we stand up for ourselves. Children are to be seen, not heard was a common phrase in my household. I became extremely addicted to anything that made me not feel what I was feeling. Chaos and drama were top of the list. I had this overdeveloped sense of responsibility. I grew up in a militaristic, rigid home. My father was the kind of man that came in and said, "You didn't make your bed right, go back and do it again." And then he would come in and he would take a quarter out of his pocket or a nickel and he'd throw it down on the bed, and if it didn't bounce, because the sheet and the blanket were pulled so tight that it would bounce, I had to make the bed up again. I judge myself very harshly all the time. So when I got this checklist, I'm down to 12 and I've got them all checked. And I looked at 13 and I said, I don't know what that is, so I don't think that I qualify for that. And I noticed it was in the next one too, and I said, I don't think I qualify for that one. After being around a little while and I learned what they were, then I realized I can check those off too. So some of us suffer more abuse and trauma and neglect than others, but we all share that common thing. So it's quite an interesting road to get out of that. How do we get out of that? Well, when I grew up into an adult, physically, I had these traits that I was exhibiting at places like my job. I needed recognition. I needed to know that I was doing a good job. I needed that reinforcement. I needed to work and be number one, and I did that by working obsessively. I would take work home with me, spread it out on the living room floor, and do work at night instead of living a life. And I had difficulty with superiors, authority figures. If they criticized me, that was it. I couldn't take it, And I did anything not to be criticized. In relationship with others and myself, I needed recognition. I abandoned myself in relationship with others. I became my own critical parent. There was so much that I did that I don't even want to go back there because I'm just so grateful not to be living there now as much as I used to. I still go back there once in a while, but not as often. And I'm really grateful to ACA for that. So let's talk about what is emotional sobriety. Who wants to do okay. You get to choose your own pen. I'm not even going to do that. I'm not going to be controlling. Who's got a definition or a word, a phrase for what emotional sobriety is? Let's go with the hands because I can't. Go ahead, back in the back.
Clarity.
Clarity. I saw another hand back there, yes? Boundaries. Yes, sir? Serenity. Discernment, yes. Contentment. Yes. Sober mind. Consciousness. Unconditional love. Yes.
Being present. Okay, hold on.
Let's give her a second to catch up.
Unconditional love.
Being present.
Calm in the storm.
Calm in the storm. Yes, sir. Walking with dignity. She's going to have to pause and do a tear off in tape. Maybe. Not going to control that either. Let us know if you need help. Thank you. I'm feeling this love. I'm feeling this love and this affirmation. I'm learning so much today. Okay, where did we leave off? Calm in the storm. Who's got one after that? Yes, ma'am, over against the wall. Self-validation. Being what? Acting. Being an actor, not a reactor. Yes. Patience. Integrity. Reparenting. Courage. Self-love. Yes. Honest. Accepting oneself. Rule 62. The Beverage Fellowship has a list of rules. One of them is, well, honestly, they went out to their membership and they said, send us your requirements for belonging to your group. And they got so many rules that they figured out that if anybody ever met all of the rules that were submitted, there wouldn't be any members in any of the groups. So they had 61 of those rules, so then they added 62 that says, don't take yourself so damn seriously. Humility. The essence of step 7. Okay. Is it one we don't have?
I do have one.
Faith. HP. And service. Excellent. Step 12. Okay, so now we've got some really good things about what is emotional sobriety. I think you guys probably got all of those, didn't you? I heard this morning in a meditation, someone say handling the laundry list. Is that you back there, Ken? No?
No, I said
I heard the words handle the laundry list somewhere. Maybe it came through the meditation. Acceptance, you guys got that. Non-judging, being honest, not reacting, stopping addictive behaviors. Did we get that one? Stopping addictive behaviors? Somebody feeling and owning the feelings I heard, having boundaries. So how do we use the ACA program to get to that? I don't know. I go to meetings. Sorry? One way is reparenting.
Creating awareness.
Creates awareness. Let's stop just for a second till the writer comes back. Oh, you left me, did you? Well, ways to use the ACA program. Because there's a lot of different... Whoa, look at all the hands all of a sudden. Who said something first? Do you remember? Reparenting was one I heard. What was the other one?
Creating awareness.
Creating awareness. Okay, now we're caught up. Work the steps. Okay, being conscious. Yes, sir.
being vulnerable.
Oh, being vulnerable.
Being vulnerability?
Yes. Who hasn't shared yet? There you go. Healing the wounded inner child. Ways to use the ACA program. Way in the back, Ken. Sharing and listening. All right.
Learning.
That was ironically the theme of last year's World Convention. Talk, trust, feel. Yes. Reaching out. Breathing. That's important, breathing. We must breathe. Compassion. Like it. Compassion. Yeah, I like it. Yes. Be kind. Okay. Let's see, and the answers are no. So meetings, did anybody put meetings up there? No. Oh, ho, 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 ho. To use the ACA program, I got to go to meetings.
Somebody said it.
Oh, they did? Okay. I'm sorry, we missed that one. Talking to other ACAs, I heard that one for sure several times. I see a hand back there. Absolutely. The fellowship for me after the meetings is where I really started connecting with other people in the group. I couldn't do it in the meeting so much as I did sitting beside them at a restaurant after the meeting, having a dinner, whatever, and talking. I did a lot of listening the first few months, but I also learned to open up and start talking when I felt safe. As you saw, the developing self-care routines was one that I put up there, and some self-care routines that I used, and these are in, I think they're in very close to the order that I used them in when I first came in. Affirmations. You guys told me about the affirmations that were in the big red book. One meeting I went to read them at the end of the meeting. They would take the sheet of 23 affirmations, and people would read a couple and pass the sheet on to the next person. They'd read a couple until it went around the entire room. Those affirmations, even though I could think them by looking at the paper and think them, until I actually said them out loud and they came into my consciousness through the ears instead of through the mind, I didn't really start in integrating them. I needed to hear them out loud. I couldn't think them. Prayer. As I said, I've got a lot of time in another fellowship, and one of the things that they encourage you to do in that fellowship is pray too. The steps are, some of the steps are very similar. Some of the steps are identical. Prayer is something that I believe is asking for guidance, asking for clarity, asking for help to the source, to the universe, to God as I understand Him, to the higher power, to God as I understand God. Meditations. I was never a good meditator, and that's probably why it had taken me so long to get to the point of being willing. I tried it. I tried all different kinds. Incense, going to Buddhist temples, going to religious places, sitting in my floor cross-legged, walking in nature. I believe people connect to the source, to the higher power in different ways. I don't believe we all do it the same way. I find I do it through nature, easier. If I can take a walk by a lake or by a stream or in a wooded area, or even sometimes in a park, if I can just get there and do that walk, I can start connecting. I also connect with music sometimes. Music, the arts, music lifts me up and changes my mood immensely, and I feel connected. Some people do it through religion. Some people do it. How do you guys do it? How do you connect with your higher power? Anybody do it differently? No, you don't have to write this down. This is just a quickie. Yeah, in the back. Painting. Yes. Dancing, yes. Reading something, yes. The daily meditation reading that we have is excellent. Writing. Anybody else? Yes.
Through nature, like through trees.
Yes.
Holding my guinea pig. There you go.
Yes, sir. Singing. Okay, Francesca. Calm you down, bring you down, center you. Other people. Sometimes God speaks to me through other people. Dog walking. Combines animals and an activity outside. Yeah. Yes. Great. Writing. Great. Okay. Yes. Working with sponsees. All really good. Really good. Connecting to the inner child. So the meditations and connecting to the inner child kind of went hand in hand for me. I needed to listen to guided meditation to find him. I didn't know where he was. He was hiding. He was hiding very deep. Grief work. I was very fortunate when I first came in to meet someone that had many, many years in ACA in Pennsylvania. He was actually involved in some convention they had up there and was a keynote speaker, he told me. But the man knew grief work. And he helped me, using, ACA's literature policy is we can use whatever literature we choose to. He had me buy this book by John Bradshaw called Homecoming. And we read it together. And he lived on the other side of the state from me, but we did it over the phone. And we would read, and he would give me assignments, and he would tell me to tell him how I was feeling. And I still remember telling him, John, I'm tired. He said, that's not a feeling, that's a condition. He told me that sentence so many times over the things that I was telling him that he actually decided to give me an assignment on feelings. And what he had me do was take a piece of paper, and across the top he had me write mad, glad, lonely, scared, and sad. And then he had me write the hours of the day down the left side and draw a line, a grid. And he says, every hour, I want you to take this piece of paper and put a check mark beside what you're feeling. And I thought, for how long? He says, I want you to do it for 2 weeks. I said, 2 weeks? Are you kidding me? Do you know how many hours that is? So I did. I was desperate. I was desperate not to feel the way I was feeling. What's that term, willing to go to any length? Well, that was the length I was willing to go to. So what I noticed when I picked up the paperwork and he decided it had been long enough, and he says, let's go over it. He says, tell me all the times you were glad. And I looked at the paper, and there were only usually about 2 checks out of the entire, from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., there were only 2 checks that were glad. Can you even guess what they were? No? 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 Yes? Bingo. An ACA meeting. When I was in an ACA meeting, I felt glad. The fellowship after the meeting, I felt glad. Those are the only 2 check marks I had on the glad side. I had lots of sads. I had lots of angries. I had lots of lonelies and scareds. And he helped me get into touch with my feelings by checking in that frequently to see what I was feeling. Because it was tough. Well, what am I feeling? I'm dissociated. I don't know what I'm feeling. Are you kidding me? We're not talking about feelings. So he helped me walk through that John Bradshaw book, and his voice, his inflection, it's not right what happened to you as a little boy. You should have had parents that loved you. And man, the tears would come. And as I would tell him these stories, I would start remembering the pee thing. I started to remember that while talking to him. I started to remember the trauma of the accident. I started remembering scalding my feet in my father's restaurant and him looking at me in disgust. I dropped a big pot of chicken broth out of a steam table on the floor, and it came up and hit me right on the legs and ankles, and it put, like, I don't know what degree burns, but they were bubbles. They were big bubbles, blisters. And my father says, what a mess you've made. I'll get somebody to take you home in a cab. He went and got one of his waitresses to get a cab for me, and they put me in a cab. I'm 12 years old, just been severely scalded on the feet. He put me in a cab and sent me home. I learned right then that that reinforced to me again that I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy. I don't have anybody that cares for me, so I've got to care for myself, and nobody else is getting in. So no wonder I didn't have any feelings. The next one is mirror work, and I didn't know about that for a long time. But I got to tell you, I actually found it on YouTube, somebody demonstrating mirror work. And I picked it up. He goes, uh-oh, we out of time already? Gosh, I got to speed up. I picked up a mirror at a cheap store, cheap mirror. And I listened to the script on YouTube that the guy was saying, and I started saying it. And at first I just cried because I really didn't believe what I was saying. But the more I did it, the more I started to believe it. It's funny how that works. The more I try something, the more it works. And I was able to look in the mirror and finally able to look in the mirror and say, I love you. You're going to have a great day. Everybody loves you. Taking care of myself, eating right, exercising, doing the things that I needed to get, preventative things that I need to take care of myself. Not exhibiting addictive behavior. Very tough in the beginning when all those feelings are coming out every which way and sideways and upside down and all that grief is coming out. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel. I'm buying ice cream. I'm going shopping. I'm doing something. I'm not sitting here feeling this. Number 8, I learned how to have fun again. I'm not sure I really ever had fun, the kind of fun that didn't require me to see if everybody else was having fun first. Because that's what I did. I always checked everybody else to see what the mood was so I'd know how to act. Oh, they're laughing and having fun? I'm laughing and having fun. So I started doing things that I like to do. And how did I know what to do? I started trying things. And I found out I like to do things I didn't even know I liked to do. Like riding a bicycle at my age. I forgot how, when I was a young kid, that I got a bicycle. And I really loved it. I was out on Christmas morning with snow on the ground riding a bicycle until I couldn't hardly stand it anymore. And then one day I left the bicycle out in the driveway and my father saw it and it ended up in the dumpster. So it had been a long time since I'd had a bicycle. And then I've got a bicycle not too, 8 years, 10 years ago, whatever it was, and I found out I really like riding a bicycle. I never drew a real drawing in my entire life. And I took an art class and I found out I can do a little bit of art with just natural stuff. I haven't done much with it since, but because I've been on the board of trustees for 2 years now, and there's no life other than ACA. Because you guys are popping up everywhere and you need books, you need meeting information, you need, all kinds of stuff, and we're there. Okay, now let's do something here if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. There's not going to be anything to watch on the screen. So one of the things that helped me a lot was that guided meditation that's in the yellow workbook. And if you want, we'll just let him play it. Now, what's suggested is that you record that in your own voice, and you can listen to it, because it's hard to read it and meditate at the same time. So if it'll work. To begin the guided meditation, find a quiet and comfortable room without distraction. You may sit in a chair or sit on the floor. An outdoor location is acceptable as well. Sit upright, but be comfortable. Begin the exercise by closing your eyes and taking a deep breath and releasing it slowly. As you take 4 or 5 slow breaths, let any thoughts you might have fade away. Be aware of being present in your body. If your mind is wandering, gently focus on yourself and be present in the moment and in your body. Continue breathing naturally. Imagine that you're sitting on a warm beach. The weather is pleasant and not too hot. The beach is secluded but safe. You can feel the warm sand beneath your feet as you stand up and look out upon a calm blue ocean. White seagulls are diving for fish, and the smell of seawater is refreshing. You are wearing a t-shirt, loose trousers, and a floppy hat to block the sun. In front of you, near the shoreline, you see an image of yourself when you were 6 or 8 years old. Your inner child is bent at the waist, picking up starfish and seashells.
The child notices you and waves you over. You walk up to the child, and the child reaches out and places a starfish in one of your hands. You smile and feel the bristles of the tiny starfish tickling you. Your inner child smiles and squints to block the friendly sun. The child reaches out and grips your hand. The child's skin has been warmed by sun's rays. You both begin walking along the beach. You notice the child's soft hair and sensitive touch as you walk. The child trusts you and giggles softly each time a wave washes up the shore, almost touching your feet. You walk for many moments, chatting softly, but paying attention to the child's innocence and imagination. You want to protect the child. You notice two people ahead and they seem familiar, so you keep walking toward them. Your inner child squeezes your hand and moves slightly behind you as you move closer to the couple. The child becomes shy, pushing into your leg from behind. You keep walking. You recognize the couple before you reach them. They are your parents, waiting for you to walk up. They grin at you and your inner child. They ask if they can walk with the child. You feel your stomach tighten, and you look down at your inner child to find the child pressed into your legs from the back. The child won't look at you and won't let go of your hand. You smile at your parents, but ask them to wait for another day to walk the child. You and your inner child walk up the beach, away from your parents, and sit down. The child looks over a shoulder, climbs into your lap, and sits down. You hold your inner child. You both watch your parents walk away. The sun is lower now, but still warm. Your inner child naps. You are safe. Your inner child is safe. You are going to make it. You know what you're doing. You can trust yourself to take care of your inner child. You can trust yourself to love. Continue to meditate and hold your inner child. When you are ready to stop, gently wake the child, walk the child to your cottage, and tuck it into bed. After putting the child to bed, back out of the room, counting slowly backward from 10. Open your eyes.
Just want to say thank you guys for being here this morning. And is there any questions? It's 11:45. We're supposed to go till how long, Sue? So we have 15 minutes of Q&A if you want, or we can end early if we run out of questions.
Hi, I'm Marianne. I'm an adult child.
Marianne.
And I really love that meditation that we just did. Do you know where I could find it?
It's in the yellow workbook.
Okay.
I believe it's in step 11. It's in the red book as well. Okay? And it's got the instructions there, how long to pause and, how to do it and everything. Any other questions or comments, shares? All right. You guys have been fantastic. Thank you for being here this morning.